What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are back in my shop out here in Mesa, Arizona. And today, not just today, over the next couple of days, we are going to be working on this thing. I don't know if I showed you guys this in a previous video. Turbo Honda V6 that I swapped the motor out for him. This is a car that I put Switch Pros in. And today, we are putting this thing on Fueltech. This is going to be the first, what I believe to be a world's first sand car on an FT550 Fueltech. First J Series on, maybe not the first J Series on a Fueltech, but first J Series sand car on a Fueltech. Unfortunately, they don't make the AEM plug-and-play setup for these cars anymore, so we're going to go ahead and start trying to transition everybody into Fueltech. So that's what we're working on today. We'll bring you guys along with us, and we'll see how it goes. So stick around, guys. Here we go. Fueltech on a sand car. So we've had all these goodies for a while, all the Fueltech stuff for this car. We were waiting on this bad mamma jamma to show up. This is a 20-foot AB harness that's undetermined. So the reason I did it undetermined is because I've got to run it from the front where the Fueltech's going all the way to the back 20 feet. And then I've got to I'm going to swap out all these plugs and do all this to the Fueltech. So we're going to be removing the FMU, the missing link, putting a set of injectors in this thing, and getting it on the dyno and tuning it. Well, as you can see, I pulled the intake manifold off, gutted out the old harness, and I'm going to start pulling this FMU out because this thing is going to get a set of injectors. We're going to go back to a stock regulator because we're not using an FMU style regulator anymore, so we don't have to force any fuel through these injectors since we're going to use a bigger set of injectors. So on these V6s that run low boost, 6-8 pounds, we just put 550s in there and they seem to do just fine. So that's what we're going to do. Put a set of 550s in here and then get rid of that FMU, put a regular stock fuel pressure regulator on there, which does just fine under turbo applications with that. So you got a Bosch 044 pump down there, so should be all good to go. I'm going to finish gutting the rest of this wiring out of here and start getting the Fueltech harness laid in. Okay, guys, so as you can see, we got the Fueltech bracket mounted. I've got the ECU mounted and the, just sitting here, and the harness plugged in. I've got this tie wrap set here as just a holder so it doesn't pull back on it. Wideband sitting there. And then I've went ahead and pulled the AB harnesses all the way through the whole car, all the way. Now, mind you guys, don't judge me yet. This is all going to get covered with Raychem and heat shrunk and nice. I'm just mocking the harness in and splitting it up back here at the motor. I got Dave Unknown here helping me out. We've removed everything that we don't need, which is over here. And we're starting to separate. So I've got coil packs here, injectors here for this side of the motor, injectors over here for that side. Dave's working on the coil packs for that side. I'm going to get everything split up here and then start running the power because I've got to put power in for the injectors and for the coils. And then I've got to do the 5-volt stuff for the TPS and a few of the coolant temp sensor, which is back here. But yeah, guys, this thing's going to go together really, really nicely. And once I get it all Raychemmed up and heat shrunk, it's going to look really, really nice. So first sand car ever with Fueltech, I believe. It's the first car ever with Fueltech. Right, guys, well, we got everything broken out the way it needs to go. Got all my injectors and coil pack stuff's all set up. And I'm going to go ahead and start gutting a factory harness to use all the connectors. And I'm going to repin everything and get it all set up for Fueltech. All right, guys, well, first actual drive went really, really well. We came out here to Super Duty. We had to pick up some parts, and I was in the driveway, and I was like, gonna take my truck, and then decided, well, Chevella's running, might as well take her. So we hopped in her, hopped on the freeway. She did really well. I definitely got to get this thing over and get it tuned. It's having some off-idle issues with the Holly and the big throttle body I have, so we're gonna get it over to Tim at Exact Dyno, let him get on the keyboard and get Chevella tuned up. But we're gonna hop back in this girl and get on back home. Well, we made it back, boys. You can hear my trans fan was running there. It just shut off. But successful little trip. It's got a little bit, like I said, some off-idle issues, but we're going to get that worked out when Tim gets in there and gets on the keyboard. So that's it for today is Friday too. So I'm going to try to take this thing over to a cruise night tonight. So we'll have to check that out. We'll bring you guys along with us. So I drove Chevella over to the car wash, or to O'Reilly's today, and then we're going to take her over to spray wash and get her cleaned up. But look what I pulled up next to in the parking lot, dude. How freaking cool is this thing? Bitchin'. Fire truck. How freaking cool is that? The patina on this thing is amazing. Another reason why I love Arizona, guys, you can find stuff like this out here that's not all rusted. That thing is freaking badass. So cool. So anyways, we're off to the spray wash and we'll get this thing cleaned up. All right, guys, I forgot where I left off, but let me clean this. We're back out in the shop today working on this beautiful sand car with a Fueltech FT550. I don't remember where I left off. What I did is I showed you guys earlier that I bought the 20-foot undetermined harness for the Fueltech. I got the mount here kind of set up for where the dash is going to go. He's got all these holes here. So I put Switch Pros in this thing. I'm going to go ahead and make a new dash cover for him. I know he said he had a friend that was going to do it for him, but I can just run this over to the big shop and Joe can bust one of those out for me. Just grab this one off the car, take everything out of it, use it as a template, and we'll go ahead and bang one of those out. So I don't remember where I left off, guys, but like I said, I laid the harness in. This is all going to get Raycam and covered up nice. I just temporarily tie wrapped it in where it was going, ran everything up here, and then distributed it out to the coils, TPS, to all the things that needed it. I've got it attached to the crank sensor, VTEC. We're running a Fueltech oil pressure sending unit, and we're also running a fuel pressure sending unit as well. I got the connector here for it. It's gonna plug into the regulator, which is gonna go up in this area. You guys can see I have this up high. It's actually, once it's done and covered, it's gonna come under the pipes. I just ran it high so we had room to tuck everything and hide it. It's gonna look really cool, but world's first sand car on Fueltech. We're going to do a first fire up here in the next day or so and get this thing running and on the dyno and back to the customer. So really cool. FT550 in a sand car. No one's ever done it before. I'm the first one. So we'll see how it goes. And then hopefully I can get some other of our buddies to follow along. Maybe I can put a 550 in that and maybe pop a 550 in that as well. I know it looks disheveled, but that's just the car cover. I moved it, so I pulled the car cover off of it. But normally those cars are inside here, but I'm working on this one now, so even my car's outside. Anyways, guys, I'm going to jump over onto this thing, get it finished up as much as I can on the wiring, and then, like I said, I got to take it all apart, all out of the car, Raycam and heat shrink everything, and then I'm going to get a piece of plywood, and I'm going to make a jig for making these 20-foot harnesses on J35s. I'll get a 4x8 sheet of plywood, put it up on the wall here somewhere with nails or screws, and then I can just make them on the wall and we can start banging these things out. Unfortunately, there is no more plug-and-play standalone. This guy was looking for an AEM computer for his car, but Holly bought AEM and they killed the line, so you can't buy them anymore. If you can buy them, they're a little iffy because they're used, but if it ever breaks, there's no support for it. So that's why we're switching them to the old Fueltech. It's reasonably priced. It's an all-new harness, so you're not dealing with that old J-Series harness. And I think it's the way to go. I run it in my race car. You know, you guys know Fueltech is in almost everything we run. Gonna put one in that car if no one buys it. So I'm going to end up fuel injecting that thing and putting it on a Fueltech. And then, guys, I want to show you this too. I got a big mess going on in my shop right now. I'm doing a bunch of J-Series stuff. Those are my original trailing arms off my car. I've got the FCS ones down. Look what I've got here. If you guys have watched PFI's channel before, you've seen this, and it might look familiar here. This is Tom's boat motor. This is for Tom's jet boat. This is that big K24, big turbo. We're doing a couple modifications for him before it goes back into the boat. There's his intercooler down there. We're just putting some Wiggin style clamps on here to get rid of these because they keep popping off under boost. So getting this thing done for Tom, and we're going to get that thing back in his boat ASAP. We're also working on his race car as well. And whatever we end up doing with his race car, if I'm working on it or I'm near it, I'll make sure I bring it to you. Tom doesn't have a channel, but I can tell you this much, guys. He does appreciate each and every one of you guys always reaching out, always asking about Tom, always commenting on photos of him. He definitely appreciates that. He is in good health. And matter of fact, just talked to him last night, and I'll probably see him this evening. So, yeah, guys, just trying to bang these things out, get things done, and keep on moving forward. So I pretty much got the harness wrapped up and finished. Almost ready to come off the car. I've got to go over to my supplier and pick up a few connectors because I'm going to make this harness to be able to unplug from the relays and disconnect off the car very easily. In the meantime, I just use spades for plugging in and unplugging. Next is map sensors. So as you guys can see back here, I did not add any wires for a map sensor. So we're not going to use this. Fueltech has an onboard map sensor that plugs in right here. So, and it also comes with the line for it. I stuck it back over here on the bench. It comes with this plastic line for the Fueltech map sensor. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up. See how far she's gonna reach. Probably not far enough. I'm gonna have to extend this with a vacuum line, but not a big deal. We'll go ahead and use the plastic line as far as we can through the car, and then we will extend it with rubber out to a port somewhere on the manifold. We'll probably use this one or this one. One of these needs to go to the fuel pressure regulator. This one, I believe they had going to a boost gauge up in the front of the car. Oh, you know what? Well, there was a boost gauge up front, but I don't think we're going to use it anymore. Let me go have a look. And we just may use this as the reference line for boost up at the Fueltech. Let's take a look. Yep, there it is, boost gauge. So we're not going to need this anymore because the Fueltech dash tells us everything we want to know. It's got boost and everything built in. So, man, this thing's already ran. See, they even had to put a little extension here. But I bet you I could take this out, get a barb fitting, and go right into the Fueltech. Oh, that's sick. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and leave this braided line, and we'll pull the map sensor reference right off of this braided line right here. So that's a plus. I don't have to run anything to the back of the car. And bonus. Went ahead and hooked the laptop up. Jamie from PFI went ahead and set me the startup tune for this car. I'm plugged into the back of the Fueltech. We're going to go ahead and load the startup tune, get on the phone with Jamie, and we're going to go ahead and start testing all the circuits and making sure everything is good to go.
Okay, so I'm going to need you to, does this have a damper on it or just a stock damper?
Stock damper.
Harvey, you there?
Oh, sorry, bud. Yeah, it's got a stock damper on it.
Stock damper, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of damper, even a B damper, that's just off of a motor?
Yeah. I got my spare ATI, or whichever one it is.
So, are you looking at the screen here?
Let me walk back over. Yeah.
Okay.
first J Series sandrail on a Fueltech running, actually running. I cannot say enough about the guys from PFI Speed, Jamie and Brent. I was just on the phone with Jamie for almost 2 hours, walking through all the sensors, all the settings, all of which I probably could have done and set up, but it was just cool to have him on the phone. I did have to stretch a few things across the car just to do the initial startup on it. I will clean all this up. I didn't have that fitting for this map sensor, so I went ahead and ran the line all the way up to the Fueltech. But yeah, guys, she's running. And now the move is for me to clean all this stuff up. I had some issues with the fuel pump relays and all that. I'll get that worked out. Is I think we're going to fly Jamie out here, and we're going to take this to the dyno and have him tune it, you know, on a dyno here. He'd really like to do this in person. We need to sync the timing. There's a couple tricks to doing that on a J motor. So we're going to get all that worked out. But yeah, guys, you guys saw it here first. The world's first J Series Fueltech sandrail. There it is, guys, and it runs. So I got a set of injectors coming for it tomorrow. We're gonna put those in, and then I can button up all the motor stuff. I can put the intercooler back on, everything back here. I'm gonna put a Deutsch connector on this. I need to take the whole harness out, rake hem it, which will take me a couple hours, and there you see it, boys. Again, I cannot thank the guys from PFI enough. World's first sandrail on Fueltech. Here we go, boys. So guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. The next time you see this car, it will be on the dyno, probably over at Tim at Exact Dyno in Tempe on his hub dyno, and Jamie will be out here in Arizona on the keyboard tuning this car for us. So we'll see you guys then, and thank you guys again so much for watching. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe, and we will see you guys out at Glamis Fab.